thanks very much for Professor Chu's talk. So in your opinion, what's going wrong in the process of the South African reconciliation process? And this question, I think, I also like to the part of the Rwanda unity and reconciliation, because at that point, that method of using suppression and amnesia of the past.
You mean Rwanda or South Africa?
Separate question. The first question is what's going wrong in the South African process of the reconciliation. The second question is on that part you talk about the Rwanda using that kind of suppression of the identity and amnesia of the past wrongdoing. If using this kind of amnesia advance, then perhaps then it will happen again and again. Sometimes when people forgot.
Yeah. Could I follow up this question? I have similar
Piece of paper.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe for the South African case, the fact that you mentioned that the black population is about 80% of the entire population, black people, and the white took around 70% of the land, and the black only have 5%. So the inequality, and also according to the Land Act, the black has to be restricted to the black area. So the problem itself is a real issue. That the inequality of the land. Okay, the black, they can also farm, right? If they can get the land. So what is the real problem? Of course, we know they want to force this redistribution, maybe for the politicians' election, right? And maybe some very popular sentiment locally, they would have this possibility. But to do land redistribution is totally different case from the Cambodia. Or maybe Zimbabwe, okay, but I don't know. Okay, so, but to maintain the inequality and allow the black to control the economy, this is wrong. So this is something I want to follow up. The second about Rwanda, no, it's not a real question, but it's similar in many countries. For example, Indonesia, even the Indonesian genocide in 1969, the government says, don't talk politics, forget about the past. Okay, let the past be past. Okay, so even though it's obvious that the government is telling the story in the wrong way, they actually distorted the historical fact, and everyone will believe in it. And those people in power were those killers in the past. They would say they want to have it back again. Okay, so so this is this certain form of violence, like the other ones you mentioned, very primitive, these gangsters. They survive through killing and robbery. So there are primitive violence in those forms, but also in the form of the government. So what's your comment about that?
Let me start first by South Africa. Why I'm concerned about South Africa? Because during my graduate student years, I was in the United States, and I was attending the so-called the boycott, divest, divest movement to force the apartheid, system to end. And that is quite a successful student movement in the 80s because it resulted in, it's, in UK and in the United States, released all of those business, of UK or American business in South Africa and boycott them and ask for divest. And then it's very efficient way. And finally, you have 1994 historical moment of the abolition of the apartheid system. And that at that moment, I think the whole world think it's a wonderful moment, including us and every whole world. I think yeah. But then now the situation now I feel that I'm urged to think of it. So that's why I'm concerned about it. So I put the fact now. The 8% of white people still own 73% of the farmland, and they have the history of land disposition and the act forbidding black to move of movements. So this we know this very clearly, and then the land reform is of course is reasonable request and should be completed. But in what form, in what way? Compare if there is a expropriation without compensation, or if there is some state control of land, changing constitution, and maybe have the disposal of the land at the state hands. Probably that's worse. So that's why I showed the 4 cases, including Zimbabwe. Something, probably the land reform can be carried out without going to that approach. And then, so that's why I'm briefly stating that the Democratic Alliance, they're concerned of this, and which I think is also a very important point. Plus, these are going on in changing, revising constitution and then toward that way, and plus the populist inflammation of hate speech, and this happened correspondingly with some actual happening, which is also fact, on the white on farmland. So this is what makes me pessimistic about it, because these democratic propensities toward certain kind of things, I think, is something worried about. Of course, I'm not saying keep the current status. I think it's have a full reason to.
About this question, what went wrong?
Wrong in the reconciliation process.
Yeah.
Rwanda?
No.
South Africa.
South Africa. What went wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Distribution, equal distribution. It didn't work from the very beginning. It's still apartheid. The rich people living in South Africa, they have barbed wire electricity.
No longer like that.
No, I saw it.
Yeah.
I was there last year.
Okay.
It's very highly guarded. Then the rich people, the white.
Of course. The white, because now the situation, it can be imagined. Is now they are private security is now in such kind of circumstances. I'm not saying that the so-called township are still, no, it's no longer like that. And now you have poor white communities also, but that's not the main point US today. And then now you have white farmers, not only selling land to black owners, but also teach them how to run. So these are happening. So these are positive side of happening. So there's a kind of handover of farmland, to black, and also coach them how to run the business of farmland. But still, you have these kind of things, plus the populist campaign for that.
Maybe just one remark. One other thing is actually they have different tribes. The tribal leader,
Yes,
the
yes.
chief, they are the powerful, the people who have power, and also certain tribes they have more power than the others. So this is also something very wrong in the democratic system.
Maybe relevant.
But don't forget, we still have our two countries.
Yeah, Rwanda. I will come back to the Rwanda later.
Thanks for a very rich and detailed presentation. My comment or question is more as a more principled or abstract character, perhaps, but is probably also related to previous questions, and it has to do with the question of violence, the term violence, the concept violence, which I was just wondering whether it wouldn't be useful to perhaps distinguish or differentiate between different kinds of violence, because the way you talk about violence, it tends to encompass many different phenomena, and I mean, I'm thinking of someone like Etienne Balibar, for instance. I mean, the attempt to point to and make explicit what he terms structural violence, which is of course the structural, invisible violence of the capitalist mode of production, which, I mean, talking about South Africa, for instance, or colonialism, I mean, I mean, that's the premise of this discussion somehow, and in a way, I think your presentation or your discussion tends to move back and forth between talking about violence as this, I mean, as a structural thing that has to do with colonialism and the capitalist mode of production, but then often in your presentation you also tend to, for instance, when presenting the David painting or talking about Rome, you tend to talk about violence as something that has to do with almost like an inherent human capacity to violence, or some kind of violence of Burkhardt, homo negens, and so there's a tension between some kind of quasi universalizing ontological description, and then a much more detailed, precise historical description. And also, yeah, so I was wondering whether it wouldn't be relevant to define the term violence actually when putting it to use.
Okay, I should respond to this question first. I'm not intend to define violence, or to analyze violence as a philosophical concept into certain categories. I'm quite aware of violence. The term violence is used, in certain levels, particularly, contributed by the contemporary French philosophy. We know many, violence, the violence of the capitalist mode, the violence of rejecting, for example, like rejecting certain people from, to certain business or to certain university, or the shock of art, or you used by the current philosopher as a violence. Violence is something that I cannot exhaust today, and to give you analysis into categories. And violence is the most broad terms I can refer to the things that I'm referring today. Sometimes I can give it like an ethnic strife, ethnic conflicts, or something like that. When I talk about it, for example, like a woman raiding woman from Sabine, I'm not referring to the philosophically universal propensity, humans' propensity for violence. No, I'm saying this kind of looting of cattle and women and children happening broadly, then we know it's not a phenomenon peculiar to Africa. Historically, it's quite common. I just referring to that, and it also has its socio-political background. Yeah. So that's I just using violence to refer to this. Should I refer to back to Rwanda? Rwanda. Okay. Rwanda. The reconciliation. It's different from Indonesia. In Indonesia, you have killing. We will not say genocide because of the scale, maybe several thousand in 1 or 2 weeks, several times. Yeah.
Within a million.
What?
It will be up to a million. 50,000 to a million. According to Oppenheimer, it's 1 million.
You mean the killing of Chinese?
No.
No? Oh,
Yeah, that's
oh,
right.
okay. Yes,
Communists.
Communists
Communists
and
are also the
Communists
Chinese.
and Chinese. Or maybe, yeah, if we add East Timor, then...
No, we are talking
no,
about
no,
East
no.
Timor. Just that.
65.
September
Massacre in
1930.
Indonesia.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
65.
65.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of the Chinese, the killing of Chinese, because I'm talking about Tutsi Hutu, the ethnic strife. So I'm thinking, when you talk about it, I think of
But the
the killing of...
majority were Chinese because they are suspect of communists. Of course, communists are they are lying. So, but
Okay.
that's 50,000 to 1 million.
50,000.
No, 500,000 to 1 million.
500 million to a million.
Yeah, right, that's easy.
Chinese? That many?
Chinese and communists.
Okay.
And Chinese communists.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, I'm saying that the situation of Rwanda and Indonesia is very different, because in Rwanda, the perpetrators are still in power, or the majority ethnic group, and still in power.
You said in Indonesia.
I mean in Indonesia.
Yeah, right, the killers. Yeah.
I'm saying Indonesia.
Okay.
The perpetrators are, those are still in power. But in Rwanda, now the ruling governments are not the perpetrator of genocide, but the victims of genocide and then come back. So that's why they are refrained from vengeance. So the situation are quite different. They refrain from vengeance and to suppress that kind of ethnic politics. Yeah. Everyone, including me, I mean most of the people in the world, think that's the outcome, Rwanda, just quarter century from that kind of wretched by the genocide and ethnic split, now to a state prospering. People talking about Rwanda as an amazing case, of this, and so that's why I'm examining how they did it, their policy. So that's I showed it. But still, I can hear the discontent of these kind of policies from the Hutu side. The Hutu side, which is the majority of Rwanda. So whether, according to the now the democratic or now still, Rwanda still led by a strong person, just coming from that kind of military struggle. Yeah. But whether in the future the current policy will be weakened, and then some kind, even maybe in the more democratic form, that this kind of ethnic politics will be reframed. Because it has the propensity, because the majority ethnic are Hutu. So just like similar in South Africa, go through the democratic propensities, and then there will be the majority populism or something like that, and finally overthrow the current policy that try to forbidden those the talk or the splitting identity in the future. I don't know. Or if go that way, whether to another quarter century or something like that, or whether there's another, maybe conflict, ethnic conflict strife, and I don't know. I hope not. Yeah. So that's what I say. On one hand, current reconciliation policy is quite successful to this point, but still there's some thought of how about future. It's not the once for all solved problem.
But I think that the real issue is that the politics of forgetting really is a very convenient tool in all states, not to mention the past, right? The same like Rwanda and Indonesia and many others. So they want to keep about harmony, right?
Yeah.
Not to stir the
Nicholas Leopold's study of Africa. I think that's. Yes.
Two questions. I have no doubt that the next jihad will take place in sub-Saharan Africa. Things are changing, evolving very quickly. Of course, this is not the region you stay, but Mali, Burkina Faso,
Yes.
all these places, it's evolving very, very quickly, and so I would like to know if you saw it, because maybe a part of Kenya is concerned too. So did you see signs of that, things which would show that it will be in the coming future, in the next decades, one of the traits of the epoch, that jihad will be something like a tropical malady that is with outbursts, fits of jihad, displacing. Okay, now for the moment it has been finished in Near East, but it displaces. It's nomadic. It's a nomadic phenomenon, but which concerns the epoch. It's not ending. Okay, it will pass. So this was the first question. The second is about, since you experience all that, seeing things with eyes which are not European, not Western. What did you feel? What did you see? The traces, the remnants of European colonialism, or coloniality as some sort of a matrix, which is still efficient, working in these regions? So, because it's a permanent, there is a permanent debate on that. So usually the easy way for Europeans to say, okay, there are many traces and remnants of the colonial periods, but they are just remnants. But if we talk in terms of colloquiality, it's completely different because it's a matrix. It works. It works. So what's your feeling about it?
Okay. Yeah, the concern, let's go back to Nigeria, Boko Haram. Boko Haram are declaredly allianced with ISIS.
Yes.
Yeah, so worry like that, happened during Sahel, the South Sahara peninsular land, and in the east, northeast of Kenya, you have I forgot how to pronounce that. 青年军，那个从青年军
Shebab. No.
Yeah, okay, 青年军 yeah. Similar like that. I'm not sure whether this will gradually calm down or reflaming in this area. I'm not sure. But sometimes, when I say that this conflict, do we think it's a religious strife? The conflict between different regions. At the surface, it seems yes, Islamic, Boko Haram. But on the other hand, like for example, like Mahmoud Madani, he's more cautious too. He's not inclined to use this the religious to see the problem, because you can see the Lord's resistance army doing similar things, and his corpse is something like a Christian, and I don't think the Christian will regard this as valid. And the Boko Haram captivate the officer say that he cannot read Quran, and he don't know how they practice the Islamic something like that. So of course it's related to a long ethnic way of life, or that you can see that this ethnic group is Muslim and that is Christian. But should we say that these violence, are religious or something? Boko Haram is in the net, right? Any Western, of course, we can say it's a reaction to colonial, because they have a very resistant attitude toward the colonial legacy. But whether these are more suitably analyzed in terms of religious conflict, I don't know, and I'm not sure whether it will come down. Many factors, many determining factors, or reflect. I'm not sure.
Maybe adding before you move on to the European coloniality or as a measure of whether that's present in Africa. On the website, it says that in Africa, jihad is local. Many places, for example, Zimbabwe and so on. But you are right. I also think it is not just religion. It is always related to local power and so on. And also we think it is tradition or religion. There are so many diverse fractions. So we cannot really say it's just that.
When I say jihad, I don't mean at all that it's only religious. On the opposite, it's global. It includes all kinds of problems. You see how it's changing in Mali and Burkina Faso. It's obviously related to many other problems concerning relation between the state and the local population, all those things. So
not necessarily.
Religion is let's say, the vehicle, the language of it, but that's it, that's all. from, and the stakes are.
Why don't you say insurrection or revolution? But jihad is such a have a low